Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us for our first ever Northern Chapter virtual board meeting. I know the past couple of months have been quite a trying and challenging time, and we're seeing a lot of evolution in how our society is connecting. And so I'm actually quite excited that we're able to use this technology to still run chapter and section business. And so hopefully you'll have a great time in today's meeting, kind of seeing a little bit different environment from the comfort of your home. And I just want to say that I hope that you and your families are certainly coping well as best as they can during this unprecedented time. And then certainly in the last couple of days, we've had sort of a new challenge face our society. So there's a lot going on in 2020. And hopefully we're going to be turning the corner and have some good times coming our way. A lot of our facilities in the Northern Chapter are beginning to open up, and we've sort of been one of the earlier chapters to allow golf, a return back to golf. So I think that's exciting for a lot of us who are teaching and running facilities and getting our businesses kickstarting again. And hopefully you're using some of the great guidelines to run a safe and effective business. And in today's meeting, we'll certainly be sharing a lot of those resources to you if you haven't had access to that. I want to give a special welcome to some guests that we have on our meeting today. We do have Tom Addis, Nikki Gatch, Jeff Johnson, President Tony Latendre will be joining us, and Ken Farrell is with us. So we'll give them an opportunity to check in and share a little bit about section business. Now, this is our first time addressing the chapter as a board. And so as your chapter president for the next 2 years, I really have like 3 main goals that I want our amazing team to be able to achieve during this tenure. And so those 3 goals is, number 1, to really enhance the communication with all of our chapter members and associates so that we are clear in sharing what chapter business is going on, and that there is always an opportunity for you to know what sort of education, what sort of tournaments, and what sort of business our chapter is running. And I think Justin, who is our secretary, and you'll get to meet in a little bit, is doing a fantastic job kickstarting off the past, oh my gosh, 5 months already, doing an amazing job with that communication. Number 2 is to really enhance engagement. I would love for us to have full chapter meetings and full events and full tournaments and full education. And that really comes with engagement. That it means connecting with associates, members who are maybe sitting in the back seat, becoming re-engaged again, socializing, reaching out to associates and bringing them back to get them engaged, get them out of suspension, and really to complete their journey all the way to PGA membership. So engagement is that second initiative. And that last initiative that I hope that our team can accomplish is to continue to operate a financially stable chapter to give you the best tournaments at the best facilities and the best education opportunities that we can offer in supplement to what amazing stuff section gives to us as well. And so I know with the team that we have, we're going to work collaboratively to make that happen for our members. So we know that starting off that most of this season has been a little rocky. We had our spring tournaments and our spring meeting be canceled. And so this is really the first time that we get an opportunity to address our chapter. But the good news is, as we're starting to see that some of the guidelines are relaxing and we're getting back into golf, there has been a lot of resources out there to make sure that your teaching and coaching is safe and that you're returning back to golf in a safe way. So a couple of ideas for you as we get into looking at what sort of resources are available is I really invite you to head to pga.org. I spent a little bit of time on there this past week going through all the different resources available to me, and it's really, really comprehensive. There's a PDF guide available to you that talks about how to return to golf, social distancing guidelines, CDC strategies, and it outlines these phases in 3 different phases about what would be appropriate as the guidelines start to relax, and even how to start to run tournaments. And there's some really great downloadable resources for you to just print out with signage if you haven't started to use that already. The next piece I'd like to share with you is certainly this time has economically hit a lot of us very hard, whether we've gone on unemployment or we've had no income coming in. Our businesses have seen a lot lower traction and zero traction for many of us. And the Golf Emergency Relief Fund has really been a great opportunity for you to receive some financial help. Phase 1 has already been complete. Some of you may have been a recipient of some Phase 1 money, but this was an initiative put on from the PGA that really spread out to all of the golf communities, whether it was Superintendents Association, the LPGA, players, mini tour players, and through an application process, you were able to put out an opportunity to earn grant money. Phase 2 just opened this past week, May 27th, and there's an opportunity to be granted up to nearly $3,500. So it's just a way for these great organizations to help those that are economically in need. And through the application process, which I've been through, and it really only takes about 15 minutes if you've got your documents ready to go, you can get some nice assistance to help you during this time. So I invite you to go to pga.org and look up the Golf Emergency Relief Fund. So a couple of other updates before I introduce you to the rest of the board and we start to hear their reports. The PGA show in August has been canceled. Reed Exhibitions, which puts that on in Orlando and also in Vegas, have decided to cancel this year's expo. But what is really neat is a lot of the education that is offered during that time will be put on virtually the rest of the year. So I've had the opportunity to be a presenter in the past, and they're basically taking all of those presentations, and we're going to be doing those virtual at no cost to the membership. So stay tuned because there's going to be some great free education opportunities out there for you. With the Northern chapter sort of being the first chapter in our section to run our meeting, we're sort of paving the way here and kind of learning how to conduct these online meetings. But our first section meeting is going to be next Wednesday, June 8th. And if you haven't seen the materials for that, I think it's going to be really neat to see the entire section connect together for a virtual meeting. So no cost for that. Make sure you sign up and participate in that. The section tournaments are going to begin June 22nd. So if you haven't signed up for the Pro or you haven't signed up for the Pro Junior Senior, those are coming up the last 2 Mondays of June. So it'll be a neat opportunity for us to start getting back into competition. I know it's been since February is the last time I think I competed. Let's see, we also have a whole bunch of trophies from 2019 from all of those who won our chapter events, and they're sitting in my garage right now. Those were intended to be hand delivered to you during our spring meeting, but due to that cancellation, they are safe in my garage. Unfortunately, they're too fragile to ship to you, so I have a list of all those who are deserving of their 2019 trophies for winning tournaments, and I'll either drive to you, meet you halfway, try to get you your trophy so that you can get it and display it at your home. So be on the lookout for some correspondence for me so I can start clearing out my garage on that. Lastly, just a little bit about tournaments. Outside of our section, many of you have seen that the LPGA and the PGA are modifying their tour schedules, and some of you that may be coaching PGA and LPGA players, their schedules are starting to get later and later. In fact, we just got word that another LPGA event was going to be canceled, and maybe the entire European swing is going to be canceled. But a lot of us coach some great amateurs and those that compete in the USGA events. And a lot of the USGA events have been canceled for the year, including all the spots for US Opens. So if you haven't been well read on how the golf community is modifying their tournament schedule, then I also invite you to go to usga.com and to get up to speed on what the rest of the year is going to look like. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and start introducing the board and getting into their reports. For this next term, your vice president is Garrett Goodrich, who also manages our treasury. Your secretary and communications chair is Justin Haidt. Your associate chair is Randy Shannon. Education chair is currently vacant at this time, and I just want to put out a call that if you have an interest to serve at the board level, we invite you to reach out to us and let us know your interest, because we'd really love to have that education chair fulfilled. And in the meantime, the board will work as a team to provide you some opportunities to earn MSRs. Our junior golf player development chair is Dan Martin. Our tournament chair is Rick Garboski, working hand in hand with our sponsorship chair, Paul Holpe. And many of you may know that Rodney Scott has left our chapter. He's taking an amazing switch in his journey and moving to Sweden with his wife and family. As a former past president, he is our honorary president, and Garrett Goodrich will be actually stepping in for him to be giving us our section reports. So that is your team for the 2020-2021 year. Some of those chairs might start to phase out as their terms end, and then we'll be putting out a call for those who are interested in serving at the board. But currently that education chair is vacant. We'd love for someone who's motivated and encouraged to bring some education to our chapter to sign up for that. So let's head into our vice president's report. Garrett, would you take it from here?
Yeah, thanks, Allison, and good morning, everyone. Thanks for taking some time out of your busy schedule to be here with us and dealing with us with this new meeting format and platform. As you saw last night, Justin was nice enough to send out the special awards announcement. The deadline for that is Monday, July 6th, so we have just over a month. And year over year, we don't get a ton of entries, and there's a ton of great professionals in our chapter, so please take some time out, nominate someone. We'd love to get every single award filled and with many applicants. Standard awards, Golf Professional of the Year, Teacher of the Year, Horton Smith Award, Bill Strasbaugh Award, Junior Golf Leader, Assistant Golf Professional of the Year, Club Fitter of the Year, Merchandiser of the Year at all the different facilities, and Salesperson of the Year. So look forward to that communication. Justin will be sending that out every week from now for about the next month. And like I said, please nominate one of your peers because they certainly deserve it. Chapter financials, we're in a great place. We have approximately $25,000 in net assets in our general fund and over $8,000 in our tournament fund. A lot of that's due to some great sponsorship work by Paul, and that we actually haven't had any tournaments. So that money's sitting there, which is a good thing, and we'll be creative with our sponsorship dollars for the remainder of this year and for moving forward. Interesting information on a program that we've developed and, well, not developed, but implemented at my club at Stockdale Country Club. I talked about it before. It's called Operation 36, and I encourage everyone to go onto their website and look at it. And if you have any questions about the program, please feel free to reach out to me. But we jumped in the deep end this year and said, let's give it a try. It's the one negative or challenge up front. It's $2,200 for the software to purchase that annually. And I pitched to my board of directors to say, hey, I think this is a great program for beginning golfers at our club. And I'd like to split that cost with Stockdale Country Club, and they agreed. So the golf professional teaching staff put in $1,100, and the club did the same to get it going. And basically how the program works is you start every single player, regardless of their ability, at 25 yards out, and the goal is for them to shoot 36, so Operation 36 for 9 holes. It's amazing because so many players that we've all taught get into the game. They go to the first teeing area. It's a 350-yard par 4. By their 15th shot, they're frustrated. It's taken 25 minutes, and golf's pretty tough. So they get discouraged quickly and quit because soccer and basketball and dance and other activities and sports are just easier to get introduced to. So when you start at 25 yards out, we had almost half of our juniors pass day one. A lot of them were putting, we didn't care. And how we're pitching it to the parents is, I know it seems elementary to start from 25 yards out, but if you can't shoot 36 or better from there, then it doesn't matter how great you hit the golf ball. So that's kind of an idea of the program. And then once obviously they graduate from 25 yards, they go to 50, and then to 100, and then to 150, and then to 200 yards out. And then after that point, they go to the general teeing area, and still with the goal of shooting 36 or better for 9 holes. Little case study, we did a spring semester, having no idea of the traction prior to this. We had no real junior program. The reason we did it is I hated the question by a brand new member of what junior programs do you have at our club? And my answer for a long time was, well, we have a junior club championship in the summer, and we have summer camps, and we have a parent-child championship all in the summer, and that's about it. And of course, individual instruction. But now we have a 3 to 4 month spring semester, and then right after that we have PGA Junior League, and then following that we have a fall semester for 3 to 4 months, and that takes up just about the entire calendar year with having weekly junior activities for our members. So we threw it out there. It was subscription based, so they had to sign up for 3 to 4 months at $130 per junior per month, and for non-members $160. And we had no idea. We thought it could be 2 kids, 10 kids. Weren't really sure, but we thought we had no choice but to dive in. And in a week we had 35. So we were blown away. We didn't have enough coaches, and it was a really cool opportunity that presented us. So for the case study, keep it short and sweet. Each instructor, because we split it evenly, made between $3,000 and $3,500 for the spring semester. So if you want to keep your assistants engaged and give them an opportunity to make some money, making another $12,000 a year or more is a pretty good opportunity for them. So any questions on Op 36, go to their website. I would highly recommend the program, and you can also contact me. Talking a little bit about best practices on reopening, as Allison mentioned, PGA.org has a ton of resources on Back to Golf. I would reference that. As you'll see, I think in the next slide, I had a little silly picture that we did for our members at my club, and we put out a table with the supplies they normally want, and we sanitize that every night and every morning. And so if they want tees or a pencil or a scorecard or a ball marker or a divot repair tool, still available to them in a safe way, so there's fewer contact points. Another thing that we've done is we've offered Golf Genius mobile scoring for a bunch of events. So we have skins games every couple of days. We even had a men's club event this past Saturday, and we give them a mobile code. They type in all their scores. It feels pretty much like a golf tournament, and there's no touch points with scorecards or pencils or a scoring area or any of that, and keeps the members engaged and fun and reasonable. So that's another thing. Golf Genius is fantastic. If you're not using it, I highly recommend that you do. Let's see. I think at that point, I'm pretty close to being done with my report on Vice President. I'll have some additional information for you at the end of the meeting on a section update that's fairly new to me, so if I can present some decent information to you at that time. Again, thanks for your time today. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedules, and hope it's engaging, and appreciate it.
We added on to Garrett's best practices, and some of the board members submitted their best practices. So Bryce, if you'll go to the next slide, and we'll have each member explain kind of what they've done the past couple of weeks as they've integrated back into golf. Justin has some great best practices and also a really cool concept that you could integrate into your facility.
Kind of get to where we're getting with the what Gary was doing at his club. With my club, we've been doing a lot of stuff since we've been open for the last month, and like a lot of things, we made bags worth of tees and pencils, all packaged together. So in case members are asking like that kind of stuff, because our shop's not technically open yet, we're always making sure that we try to accommodate them as the best way we can. So that's been kind of like high demand now, which is great. Other stuff, because we are a hilly golf course, not a lot of people can walk it. So members have been signing waivers out there too. And also we've been permitted to bring guests as well. So they have to sign one as well when they come out and check in. So that's been a good thing for us to kind of keep us busy. So our rounds have been kind of crazy the last 3 or 4 weeks, which is great. As far as the golf course goes, you know, the flag tips are always in the cups and they're never taken out or touched. There's always foam in the inside the cups. That way they just pick them up right at the top of the cup there. And then there's no race on the golf course when they go in the bunkers. You know, like as far as the driving facilities go, the range is open to a limited number of spots, but only for those who are warming up to go play. You cannot hit balls for like 2 or 3 hours and just hang out for obvious reasons. And obviously the putting green and our short game has also closed too. So for the same purposes. Now, as far as the carts go, when it comes to that, we're asking all of our members and guests to turn their carts in by 6 o'clock so we can sanitize the carts properly for the next morning. And also we sanitize pretty much in a lot of the high contact areas. Some, for example, the steering wheels, the seats, the sand bottles, and so forth. So that's kind of my 2 cents on regarding what we're doing in our course. Now getting to this master shootout that we've been doing this for about 8 years now, which has been very popular with our members. So kind of getting started with it. So we're going to trying to create a buzz, trying to create the best thing we can achieve with our members as far as like what kind of game we can provide. So if we go to the next slide, please. And thank you. Yeah, so basically how this works. Go ahead. No? Okay. All right, so kind of getting into this, how we work it out is that members select 5 players from our field of like 100 players, and what they try and do is try and accumulate as many points as possible when it comes to like their selection. So like obviously if your player wins, you get 10 points, second place 8 points, and going down the line there, which has been very good for us. Now it's $20 per member. We just bill it to their member account. There's no cash involved. So that way we use those funds to like award those who did well. Basically regarding to like we should cash out top 3, and usually that goes towards like shop credit, merchandise, golf clubs, and golf balls, or maybe depending on how you finish, and some other stuff that's been great for us. Now, if there's a tiebreaker involved, we do predict the winning total score of the actual winner. So, and on average, it's been like 10 under par, whatever it might be, but it's been a good tiebreaker because we don't do ties with our shootout. So, that we go to the next slide, please. And this is kind of use card in a way. So we send it out to our members by email, and we'll have some physical copies as well in the golf shop. So you can pick your 5 players from a list that we'll provide on the next slide, and then you'll see the tiebreaker right down there too, is in case we get in that situation. Now, part of the other thing we've done is that we've done we send out a list of the email of the field of the masters. So it's been great. If you go to the next slide, please. This is what we kind of developed too. They're all alphabetical ABC order from the entire field. And again, in case people are asking what the deal is, on how you get the points, you see it right there. And kind of getting to the next slide here. You know, kind of a little summary. It's pretty straightforward, but we started in 2012, obviously, and then we've gotten better with every year. The 2012 we did about 40 entries, ballpark, and last year we did over 70. So this has been really great for our members. So people are looking forward to it when Masters comes around. Now with November coming up, maybe this is something that our facility and our chapter can go ahead and take care. Maybe use this as for our members, or for their members in general. But it's great that we can turn it over with inventory with the funds we accumulate. So that's kind of my after shootout there. So, and that's it for that. Now regarding to the as far as like going to the report. So we had our annual meeting.
Justin, we'll hold off on the report for right now, and we'll finish the best practices, and we'll come back to you.
Okay.
Perfect. Bryce, if you could go to the next slide for me. Thanks. This is something that just kind of came impromptu for me as I was looking at how to teach effectively. I was able to get back to teaching right at the end of April, back into the beginning part of May. And of course, wearing masks was pretty mandatory at my facility, and figuring out how to keep a safe distance. And I thought this was kind of interesting that one of my students' parents captured this just sort of in the moment, with my impulse wanting to touch this little junior golfer's golf club as we're kind of working on swing plane and the general motion around her body. From my US Kids kit, there's this construction tape, and I just tied it to the end of her golf club, and it was giving me the opportunity to kind of move the club around her body without actually having to touch her equipment, touch her, kind of give her a nice feel for that. So as I'm getting back to teaching, you can see the colors in the background of the cones. I'm using discs to kind of indicate where it's okay to stand, where I tend to stand. If I'm starting to get back into small groups, which I have done with under the allotment of 6 with some adults, I've used some spray chalk, which you can get from Target or Walmart, and I've sprayed some X's on the grass of where each player will stand, just so that they kind of have a formal place to enter into the teaching area. And then it just washes away when the sprinklers go on in the morning. And then been more hands-on with using my own alignment rods to kind of manipulate and point out areas of a person's body where normally I would have permission to put my hands on and move them. I'm moving into using more alignment rods. And then of course, many of you that are coaching are kind of figuring out we have to use our words differently, and we have to use our body to model what we want our students to do. Without being able to get so close to them. So just submitted these pictures as a way to show teaching small kids, obviously it works if you're taller than them, how to help them just learn the swing plane with using that, some creative ideas. Go to the next slide. And then Dan, take it away with some of the things that you're doing, not only with your safe practices for your tournaments, but also safe practices for your teaching.
All right, thanks, Allison. Yeah, I echo all of Allison's sentiments there. Doing many of the same things, but just a couple other things. I invested in a hand sanitizing, or got to have a supplier locally that got us a big thing of hand sanitizer and a auto dispenser. That little bottle to the right of the big bottle of hand sanitizer is actually rubbing alcohol in there. And so any of the training aids and the things that I use that might be community, I always make sure that those are sprayed down. I usually do that in front of the student as well, so they know that we're looking out for their health. And I use a mirror a lot, but I think it's just an underutilized tool in teaching. I think ranges should be like filled with mirrors, because the easiest way to see what's going on is to actually see it happening. So I'm doing a lot with like aim sticks with like Allison was talking about, and actually using a mirror to highlight positions and movements. I as somebody who teaches full time pretty much for a living, not being able to move a student around is very, very challenging. And so when this all came about, having to change your habits was pretty crazy. But those are definitely two of my teaching best practices. If you guys could change the slide, please. Oh, I think we're missing a slide.
Oops, we might be down.
Yeah, we missed my junior golf protocols, or are those in the?
Yes, that is down. Bryce, if you could scroll down to the player development section real quick. I think there's one out of order.
No, it's not that one. It doesn't look like it made it in, but I'll just go over them.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. All right, so yeah, I have a slide. Oh, there we go. I just saw it. One more, Bryce. One more. I just saw it just right in here.
Yeah, one more. Couple more. There we go.
All right, awesome. Okay. Okay, so actually, just for those who don't know, I'll talk a little more about this in my allotted time for junior golf development. But I run a new tour which I started about 2 years ago with John Leary, if you all know him from Angeles National. It's called California Junior Golf. Anyways, we ran our first tournament back yesterday at Los Robles, and actually Saturday, Sunday, a 36-hole event. It was pretty cool. It was one of our biggest events ever, but definitely had some unique challenges. I actually borrowed a lot of our protocols from US Kids, who's been doing a really good job getting out in front of this and trying to keep tournaments and keep kids engaged in the game in a safe manner. But first and foremost, the hugs and handshakes are done. So really recommending that players do a friendly nod, tip of the cap. A lot of the kids are getting creative now. They're doing like little foot taps and little putter slaps and things like that. So it's pretty cool. We're having players bring their own tees, pencils, ball marks, divot repair tools, and just not going to supply those. We're going to try to make sure that any kind of community grab area is there. I like what Garrett's doing in his shop. We actually ended up doing that as well with kids that forgot pencils. We just put them on the table and sprayed them down with some pretty fierce sanitizer. And the same with the scorecards, because kids, we were having them email and print them out, but I just had a feeling they were going to forget, and they did. So we had to do the same thing. We've eliminated water and snacks for now, which we hate doing. We'd love to be a full service tournament organization, but really just making sure the parents are getting out ahead of it, and they did a great job this week. I'm a little concerned about the hot weather, but we'll get there when we get there. And again, in scoring, everybody scores for themselves now in junior tournament golf. So once you have a scorecard, it is your scorecard, nobody else touches it. And you're going to score for all the players in your group, which I actually liked. I thought the scoring was better because the kids all had to check in with one another. In the scoring area, we taped off 6 foot social distant markers under the tent. I was with my computer entering scores, and I conducted a read off. And the read off is a little different. We actually had the player read their own scores and the other 3 verify them, which actually was awesome. And I don't know why we don't do this more often in junior tournaments, because the amount of scoring nightmares I've heard of, I wasn't scoring for him or her, and ending up with scoring problems that you always hear about after the fact. But after they agreed, everybody agreed, and we were good, 100%. They initially signed their own scorecard, and then they put them into a box one at a time, and then we just keep those for a record if we have to dig into them. Once player leaves the scoring area as normal, no changes can be made. Bunkers, there's no rakes right now, so we have implemented a temporary local rule. You can play it as it lies if you wish, but you may lift and place your ball in the bunker within 1 club length, no closer to the hole, just in case you get into footprint situations and things like that from poorly maintained bunkers, which definitely does happen. And flag stick has to stay in now. Under the rules of golf, that is now permitted, but we are making that mandatory, so nobody ever touches the flag stick. It just stays in. I will say one thing, unfortunately, as much as I thought it wasn't going to be such a big issue, the inserts just need to be a little farther down. We did have probably six situations where balls bounced out. I'm going to argue because they were hit a little firm and they ricocheted off the flagstick and then hit the marker and then come out. But nonetheless, I'll be looking forward to when we can actually change that rule, because it definitely cost a few kids some shots, I think. Finally, flagstick has to stay in, and we required that the players wore masks at check-in and scoring. We actually had those supplied as well for people if they forgot a mask. My whole staff, anytime we were in contact with people, we had gloves and masks on. So if we had to do a ruling, if it was scoring, if it was check-in, we always were extra safe and making sure that social distance protocol was there, and we were going the extra mile to keep our respiratory breathing and whatnot from spewing out and possibly infecting anybody. And finally, there's several other protocols that we employed that I think are all common sense and we're doing in everyday life, but those are a few of the ones I wanted to share with everybody as far as how we're running junior tournaments, and I think the same would apply for adult tournaments. And that is that.
Great, thank you, Dan. Those are really insightful, as some of our courses are going to get back into some tournament golf, and certainly as we look at how to get juniors back involved, these are wonderful ways to make sure things are safe. Thanks for that. And then Randy submitted some best practices as well. So Bryce, if you could go back a few slides to the slide that his name is in the bottom left-hand corner. Randy, I'll have you run through some of your best practices.
Great, thank you. And good morning, everyone. And thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to meet with us today. So Santa Barbara Golf Club, we opened up on Saturday, April 25th. And after all these certain protocols, obviously it was a little overwhelming to determine where we're going to post all these things. So without having tournaments, we decided to put it on one of our small portable scoreboards. And that's what that picture is. It's right where every golfer walks in. So I would say the first few weeks, because we've been open now for about 5 or 6 weeks, it was stopped and read by most people. And at least we gave them the opportunity to see our regulations, what we were trying to do at Santa Barbara Golf Club. So it was a way I could use the scoreboard because we want to hold tournaments, but not yet. So we put it right out in front where everyone walks in. And as well as all these signs, we use it on what we call 4 walls. So we have other posting areas around the facility, the restaurant, the breezeway, the golf shop, the restrooms. So we have a lot of signage around because we want everyone to obviously stay as safe as possible throughout and understand as you go from county to county and golf course to golf course, the regulations do modify and change slightly. So if we go to the next slide. So we have a document here for our outside service sanitizing requirements. I won't go through all these as they are a little bit repetitive with I think what most people are doing, but I'll give you time to look at this. And one thing we're doing with the golf balls and the range baskets, obviously each time, as well as the carts, we're making sure we're sterilizing these after each and every use. So we don't use our range ball dispenser. We're actually issuing from the golf shop. So we have them again, in the golf shop on a table where people just pick up their size basket that they had purchased. Next slide, please. So we have these as social distancing standards here. I think probably the best thing that's helped us is the very first one here. It says, listen to our safety ambassador. So what we've decided to do is we've actually removed our player assistant, our golf course marshal, and we put him into a safety ambassador. And if you've been at Santa Barbara Golf Club, you always walk through the breezeway. And this is where our line forms because we have one person in the golf shop at a time. And our safety ambassador, who, again, all of our employees are wearing gloves and masks at all times. This is a greeting, and this is a time where, because it's one person in the golf shop at a time, our service ambassador has time to talk, discuss, answer questions with every guest that is about to play golf, maybe use the range or other services. So it's been a great asset for us. So when they do get to the golf shop, we're not trying to be overwhelmed because we're only checking in one person at a time. Next slide. Again, just some of the protocols here. You'll see some of these throughout the whole property. We're allowing just one person and one bag per cart. That's one of our standards at this time. Next slide. So a lot of best practices for the golfer themselves. Again, a lot of these have been mentioned. So if anyone at any time would like any of these for their use or to try to look at these a little closer, Allison, I'm not sure if we'll be providing this format to them, but I'd be happy to share these slides with people as well, and they can just email me. Next slide. Next slide, please. I think that's all then.
Perfect. Thank you, Randy. Those are great. And those look like great printable options for people to put signage around their facility as well. So that officially concludes Garrett's report. Thank you for coming up with that idea about sharing some best practices in this first month of us getting back to golf, how we're trying to integrate these measures into our businesses. So the next report we'll go into will be the Secretary and Communications report. There's just 2 notes that I failed to share, but now that there's some more people logged into the call, this would be an opportune time to remind you, if you're calling into this meeting and not using the GoToWebinar, but calling in from your phone, in order to get MSR credits, make sure that you email Jeff Johnson at the completion of this meeting. Your phone number will register and they just need to tie your name in with your phone number. For all others who are logging in with their computer, we can see your name, so you'll get your MSR credit for today. And then also, if you have any questions while we're going through the reports, just submit that into the chat box over on the big panel that sits on my computer screen. It sits to the right, but there's a little chat link. Throw in some questions if you have any, and Nikki will help kind of organize which reports they go into. When we get into the section reports, if you have any questions about what's happening in section business, we'll answer those at that time as well. So Justin, take it from here, but if you'd make sure to unmute your phone, and we'll use your phone for the audio. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Doug. Yeah, so it's on mute now, so it should be good. So kind of getting to the annual meeting that we had in November, as we report to alcohol. So I think we're good with the minutes of that meeting. We read and approved the minutes.
Justin, you're having a little bit of difficulty hearing. Could you put your phone up so that we can hear the audio a bit better?
Yeah, can you hear me better? Okay, thank you. Yeah, so kind of getting to where we're getting back to the meeting minutes from the annual meeting for ALISOL in November. Just checking to see that we approve and read those minutes.
So since we're not live ready to make that, we'll approve the minutes from the annual meeting.
Okay, great. All right, so kind of getting to our members and associates. We're just gonna go with here, as far as new members. We're here now where looks like we have one new member for the chapter. That's looks like Blake Lapham from Tierra Hada Golf Club. He was an associate, but now he's a member as an assistant golf professional, which is great. And then it looks like we have some new associates going on here. It looks like Michael Gerard from Ojai Valley Inn. Correct me if I'm wrong, Randy, when we get to you. As far as see here, as far as the total members, looks like we have about 149 members in the chapter, and then 32 associates. And looks like there's 4 associates who are suspended, and then there's 5 members who are inaligibly employed. And then some changes too regarding to the chapter. Looks like Mr. Todd Keeper is now at Las Posas. He came from Wilshire Country Club, and the big addition for us for our chapter. So I think we can get some good information from him in case we like to hear from a past PJ president for our section. And as far as let's see here, and then regarding to social media, I think we've been doing pretty good regarding to our response when we send out some notifications regarding to our social media sites, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's great that we're getting such a good response from our chapter members and even from outside our chapter. Now, if you're not receiving any emails from us as of late, why don't you go ahead and email me to update your emails, so in case you're not getting our chapter emails, but you're getting them from somebody else per se, we can make sure that we have you on our roster. And then also, if by sometimes you are your emails are going to your spam emails, we actually check those out too, because I've gotten a couple of those on my end too. So we just kind of make sure that we're on the same page, and we just gotta make sure if you want to get involved in social media through our Northern Chapter sites, we just ask you to kind of look into them, and then hopefully we can kind of get some followers and establish a little bit more of our clientele. But as of that, pretty much it for my report as of right now. If I have anything else, I will go ahead and share that with you in the meantime.
Great, thank you so much, Justin. And to piggyback on that social media, we really want to highlight you, our Northern Chapter members and associates. So if you're doing great stuff on social media, you have some best practices you want to share, you've got a student that you want to highlight, just send Justin that post and he will reshare it on our Northern Chapter Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. because we want to highlight you. And the more faces that are on you, the bigger your business is going to grow for your facility and your teaching business. So there's a lot of power in social media right now. So we'd love for you to submit tips. The section is actually doing a really great job of highlighting the section members who are out there teaching and tips. There was a great initiative that was going on using a hashtag to get your tips reshared. And so I think that's really great. And we'd love to do that in our Northern chapter as well. Thank you so much, Justin. And we'll head into our associate report with Randy Shannon.
Great. Thank you, Allison. So to reiterate what Allison said earlier, I think as a new board member as well, our goal is to get engaged. And my goal would be to make sure I reach out and speak with our associates. As Justin mentioned, we have 32 associates in our chapter and 4 are on the suspended list. So I'm obviously offering and having people to either contact me by the phone, by the email. I will reach out to you individually to see what we can do to help support your efforts to get through the program. If for some reason they have stalled slightly. And our goal is to obviously get everyone through the PGA program and efficiently as possible. We have a lot of great resources also at the section, obviously with Tom and Jeff, Nikki, all the people within the office. We have a lot of resources here. I'm just one of the other resources. So we're trying to plan right now, and hopefully it works. If you want to jot this down for any associate and or members, we're going to do a webinar and try to get one scheduled for Friday the 19th at 2 o'clock. This will be kind of just a more formal meet and greet, questions about the program. It could be 15 minutes, it could be 30 minutes. You know, we'll see how the discussion goes, but it's really to try to get everyone together a little bit more and have a little more conversation, if we could, about how we can help and progress through that associate stage, which obviously with our challenges the last few months, it's made it probably even that much more difficult for others to continue with their programming. Want to also try to encourage any members to work closely with their associates. You can also invite them to our annual meeting, which will be at Wood Ranch on November 30th. I think it's important to make sure our associates get very much engaged as well as our members. So let's not try to leave them out in any facets at all. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if there were any questions out there at all, and look forward to working with the board.
Thank you so much, Randy. And again, hitting on that point of engagement, that's really, really powerful. And I think when you look at how to get people engaged, really the simple personal power of the invite really does it. A phone call from a member to an associate to say, hey, come sit with me next to the meeting, or come sit at my table, or why don't you grab lunch with me and let's chat for a couple of minutes to see where your career is going. That can really make a huge difference in somebody's life and just be that little tick of motivation to get them to finish up their journey to become a PGA member. So Randy, thank you so much. And I know you'll be a great mentor to the associates in our chapter. So we'll head into the education report, which I'll go ahead and provide since the chair is vacant. Just a couple of notes on education for all of our PGA members and in our section and in our chapter. If you haven't taken advantage of PGA.coach, now is the time to do it. It is a free certification. It takes about 2 hours. There is some really great information on there on how to coach for the longevity of a lifespan. When you look at a golfer from their first entrance into golf being a junior, all the way up to being a senior. Once you complete, you can download an app that goes on your phone that gives you teaching protocols, that gives you lesson outlines on how to run camps and clinics and individual lessons. So if you have a 5-year-old who comes with you, you've got a student for life, PGA.coach is the place that will help you cultivate a great learning plan for them to make golf a part of their life forever. So I recommend that you definitely do that, and it's free, which is amazing. What's really cool is if you have finished PGA.coach and you are certified, you will be one of the first PGA members to be highlighted and allowed to create a profile on the brand new PGA.com website. So if you haven't visited PGA.com yet, they've revamped the website. It's amazing. This is different than PGA.org, which is where the members and associates go for your resources. PGA.com is for the public side, and it's an opportunity for you to get business coming your way. If you are PGA.coach certified, you are the only ones right now who are able to create a profile. I finished my profile last week, and it just basically highlights what it is your teaching philosophy is, what your business model is, where you're located, what do you offer. And so as the masses come to PGA.com and they start looking for a coach in their area, you will be one of the first people to be highlighted. So that's kind of a nice benefit to drive business to you. If you haven't taken advantage of what this section is offering in terms of free education, you are missing out. As soon as facilities were shut down and a lot of us were in quarantine, there has been an influx of COVID chats, coach chats, Thursday catalysts, and just YouTube videos from members looking at ways to open up your facility safely, rules examples. And so I would invite you to go to the SCPGA YouTube channel and subscribe, because there is a ton of videos for you to be able to watch free. Now, if you miss out on a Thursday catalyst, let's say you're like me and you're driving to work at 8 a.m. and you can't call in, you've got an early lesson, you can go back to the YouTube channel, you can watch that Thursday catalyst, and then if you fill out a short test, you'll still get the MSR credit. And again, it's free, no money out of your pocket. So a really great library of resources out there. With our education, we had the opportunity to have Dr. Joe Parent speak at our spring meeting. And Dr. Joe Parent was going to talk about the mental game of golf and really kickstart us into having a great round during that spring meeting. Since that was canceled, he had offered to stay connected, and we encouraged him to work with Section on putting on one of those Thursday catalysts. And so if you missed it a couple of weeks ago, I really invite you to go check it out, because he talked a lot about mindfulness and sort of coping in this current climate. It'll certainly help you play golf better, but also handle the challenges of the current climate in a much more productive way. But we will be bringing Dr. Joe Parent back most likely for our annual meeting to do an in-person education seminar for us. And in terms of education, the MSR cycle has been extended 1 year. So the deadline was supposed to be 2021, and now we are extended June 15th, 2022. So you have an extra year to make sure that you get all of your MSR credit. And I invite you to just go to your profile and make sure that the things that you've been participating in with the chapter and the section is reflected on there. And if for some reason something's not reflected, for example, maybe you called in and you weren't on your computer, just email Jeff and they'll get it all squared away. And those MSR credits are appearing very quickly. So I checked mine this past week, and everything that I participated in March and April was already reflected on there. So just make sure that you are on top of that for yourself. And that is it for the education report. We'll now head into Dan Martin with junior golf player development.
All right, good morning all again. My report here for junior player development is going to start with, looks like going to be our chapter's first tournament back. It will be our third annual Pro Junior at Rustic Canyon on July 13th. We will more than likely have a straight start unless we have an overwhelming demand, which we could. A lot of juniors aren't able to play in some of the bigger tournaments. They've all been canceled over the summer. So our pool of players available may be very different. So the format is 4-ball. We will have, just like last year, an individual pro purse, and then we will also have a pro junior purse. We'll have awards for the top 3 teams for the juniors. Encourage you to bring 3 juniors with yourself, so we can really max this out and get as many kids in this as possible. It's a great opportunity for all of you that have kids that play or are members at your facilities to do something really unique and special. I think it's just it's a great time to be out there and get to play golf with kids and just bond with them and kind of show you how the game is supposed to be played. A couple particulars on the event will be we will probably be walking only. Rustic, we can have a cart for you, but we do not have anybody really full-time cart staff to really do the sanitizing correctly. So whenever we have somebody there that wants to play and use the cart or needs to use the cart, like they have ADA disabilities and whatnot or handicap placards, we actually have to go back there and hand sanitize it. So Rustic has been busier than ever, but it's been walking only. The kids will have to walk anyways. I think that's the only equitable way to do it. You can't have one kid riding and one kid not. But again, if you absolutely need a cart, hopefully by then we'll have that good to go. But I would encourage you just to walk along because I think that's a great way to spend time chatting and getting to know the kids as best as you can. It's been a very competitive event, so you're gonna have to shoot low to win it. I already know that. I was fortunate to win it the first year, and I had my junior carry me to a 210 under, and then that is what won it last year. With I believe Roger won last year with his student. Anyways, what else can I say on that event? That is about it. Oh, one other thing. I will be happy. I'm in touch with so many different junior golfers in the SoCal area. I am happy if you want to play and you need juniors. I'm going to get the word out very early this year and get a good list of kids that want to play. So I could hook you up with kids that want to play this tournament. So if you definitely want to get out and get the rust off the game and play with some kids that are good players and good kids, just email me at danmartinpga@gmail.com. Okay, next up is PGA Junior League Golf. I'm going to go there first. I'll go slide after that. So PGA Junior League Golf, just so you all know, a lot of you run PGA Junior League leagues or have your facility involved. The postseason is off. I'm sure you know that if you're involved, but yeah, PGA Junior League Golf can resume now as of June 1st. And it really is going to come up to how your counties and your facilities are dealing with the COVID-19 situation. But we strongly encourage you to still try to put a league together and do it, because at the heart and soul of PGA Junior League Golf, it's not about the postseason. It's about the kids that we're able to introduce to the game and get them hooked on it and get them playing it for a lifetime. So again, June 1st, which is today, is you can now start to get back to playing again if you can. And of course, in the past, we've also had fall. There's always been a fall option as well, even though it didn't lead to the postseason in PGA Junior League Golf. So if you have any questions on that, you can certainly reach out to Nikki at the section, or I would be happy to answer any questions as well. And then finally, if you could change slides here. Perfect. As some of you know, and maybe many of you don't know, I am the U.S. Kids LA Tour Director. I've been doing that for 10 years. In the past couple of years, I started a kind of what I would call a follow-up to it, but also something that I thought was kind of missing in the SoCal area, particularly the San Fernando Valley, West LA area, which is kind of where I've based this. I partnered with a good friend of mine, John Larry, who I know a lot of you guys know, the great golfer, played at USC, he's played professionally, very, very, very good teacher as well over at Angeles National. We put together a tour that is really geared towards kids wanting to get ranked experience. There's a lot of opportunities in SoCal, certainly through our own section, to get into tournament golf. But the amount of kids that really want to build their rankings and want to build up a college golf resume, there still needs to be more tournaments. So we decided we would fill that void and get it on some of the golf courses that we grew up playing that aren't really utilized for tournament golf, and certainly pre-COVID have been very, very available. Like I can't, all of you know how busy Rancho Park used to be, but we've had 2 tournaments at Rancho Park. So that tells you a little bit of the climate change of golf. So anyways, so we have 2-day 36-hole ranked tournaments for advanced, pre-elite, and elite junior golfers. We're ranked by Junior Golf Scoreboard and Global Junior Golf Rankings currently. Working on AJGA. Just got to get the field sizes a little bit bigger, but as soon as we qualify, we'll be in line with AJGA, because I know all the kids want to get there. And again, most of our tournaments are located in the greater LA area, but our emphasis has been on the San Fernando Valley, the West Side, and a little bit in kind of East Ventura County. Again, we had our first tournament back at Los Robles this past weekend. It went really well. We had 91 players compete. It was our actually biggest tournament ever, and we're definitely able to successfully operate in the COVID-19 situation. In line with our program, I've been doing a year-round junior golf development academy for advanced pre-elite and elite golfers for the past 10 years out of Rustic Canyon. It's been under many different brand names, been on my own. I was part of USA Junior Team Golf. But when John and I put our heads together to do this, I kind of morphed my program into the same brand as our tour. And we currently have 3 locations, Encino Balboa golf courses. They're in Sepulveda, Rustic Canyon where I'm at, and then at Angeles National. We do have beginning and intermediate programs, but we focus those at Encino Balboa, which we think is just going to be a great location for us in the long run. That's obviously out of our chapter. Our main academy is tournament ready junior golfer programs that we do at Rustic Canyon and Angeles. We run them in seasons, and the emphasis on the coaching is really the full game. We offer private coaching to all of our kids to handle kind of the technical stuff. But most of our practices are really about how to practice, how to get the most out of a practice, and strongly influenced by Vision 54, Lyndon PL, a lot of Doc Parent stuff, Fred Shoemaker, but covering the vast array of mental, emotional, physical, social topics. And we do half of our program is on course. So if any of you are interested in maybe becoming a part of what we're doing, or just want a little bit of coaching on how to do an advanced junior golf academy, you certainly need, it can start with as few as you got 6 kids that are good players around your facility. You could turn that into something really special. When kids that are like-minded about golf get together, the education that they get changes dramatically. Because doing private lessons and playing tournaments, it's great, it's necessary. But what they learn from one another and having a competitive environment and being coached on the parts of the game that really are the difference makers just makes a huge difference. So that's something that I'm involved with. And guys, I've been involved with junior golf pretty much all of my 22-year now professional career. Any questions you ever have on junior golf, junior tournaments, and coaching and whatnot, please feel free to reach out. And I wanted to actually follow up with one other thing before I pass this back to our next presenter. I shot a special with Spectrum Sports. It's called Beyond the Sport. It's on their own cable network, but they normally do Lakers and Dodgers stuff. So they were looking for new content, but a friend of mine is a producer for them, and we just shot something that airs tomorrow on how to teach and coach and the adjustments made in the COVID-19 era. So if you want to check that out, if you have Spectrum, that'll be airing tomorrow. So hope you all can check it out. All right, that is it.
Yeah, hey, Dan, looks like we got a question that came in from Billy Gibbs here
Yes.
regarding the Teaching Junior League. Should the questions regarding Junior League should be sent to Nikki or Junko?
Sorry, that's Junko. Nikki, yeah, my bad there. Yes, to Junko.
Okay, great. So right now, no other questions, so we're good.
Great,
Excellent.
thank you so much, Dan, and congratulations on that special. Maybe we can even get a copy of that and be able to circulate it around to our chapter. That would be amazing. All right, so next up is going to be our tournament chair and sponsorship chair. This is the A team, the heart and soul of our chapter, running these tournaments and getting us money. I'm going to pause my webcam so that we can see Paul Hope's wonderful face, and I'll turn it over to Rick and Paul at this time.
Where's Opie?
I'm here. Why don't you in here?
All right, well, I'll get started
Share my
while we
webcam.
get Paul on here. So obviously the schedule's been changed quite significant due to the virus pandemic. We've been now instructed that we can start having events after June 22nd. So because of that, as Dan mentioned earlier in his report, our first official chapter event will be July 13th at Rustic Canyon. It's the Pro Junior. Followed that with August 10th, which is the one you want to definitely bookmark, because that's our chapter championship. We're having that at Burnham Wood Country Club. 36 holes one day. There we go. So you can see the schedule here down at the bottom. and follow that with the Stroke Play Championship at Simi Hills. And then our big annual meeting, Pro Assistant, we're having at Allison's place there at Wood Ranch. I do want to throw in one kind of off the record event on October 26th. If you want to jot this one down, the Ray Ellison Pro-Am is being held at Spanish Hills. That will be a nice Pro-Am to play. You can bring some amateurs and have some fun. I've played in that event a few times. It's always been great. Roger Rockefeller is the one that runs that one. As far as the rules, I think that's a very fluid situation when it comes to this, because it's based on really the course that we're having. Dan already went over very well the rules in place, you know, what we're going to do for the Monday, July 13th, that it's going to be walking. But I agree. I think walking with the kids that day is quite enjoyable. I did that last year and loved it. The COVID rules that we have in place, number one is the flag stick. The flag stick has to stay in the hole the whole time. There's actually a 1-stroke penalty if you actually play the hole with the flag stick out. However, everyone will just remind you, because there is no penalty if you instinctively grab it and then put it back. So I'm sure that'll happen to me at least a handful of times. The second rule that's important is in the bunkers, because we're not going to have rakes out there, at least for probably the first couple events, where you're allowed to pick up the ball, you're allowed to clean the ball, and you can smooth out the area and put the ball exactly back where it was in the bunker. So it's not like a club length left or right, or scorecard length. It's exactly where it was. And then the third modified hole, because and Dan mentioned this one also about some of the cups having raised items in there with the pool noodles and whatnot, that if the ball goes in but comes out, it's still not deemed as a hold shot. You still have to play the next one, probably tap it in, what have you. And that's the three major ones that we have adopted for the section when we had our section tournament call. And I will do a good job, make sure that we get posted on the websites, the various rules with these other ones. The big one is the August 10th chapter championship, but between now and then there could be 75 changes. So I don't think there's a real need to get that. I think we'll get close. As we get closer, I'll cross that bridge when we get to it, but I'll make sure that that is clearly provided out to everybody, so that they know if they want to elect to not play or play because of certain conditions. I know 36 holes is tough anyways. If we have to walk 36 holes, that might be affect people and their wanting to come out and play in that, even though Burnham Wood's one of the nicest courses we have. So again, I'll let everybody know as we get closer to these events what exactly is going to be required of us, not only from a rule standpoint, but carts, no carts, that type of thing. And let's see, I think now we can turn it over to Mr. Holtby, and he can go over the sponsorships. He's done such a great job. I was so excited about getting started this year, and here we are June 1st, and we haven't really even done anything. It's sad. It's a shame.
All right, can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up.
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me? Hey, wow, this is it's like making an eagle backed up with a hole-in-one for me. All right, so I just want to let all of you know that currently where we're at, reiterating what Garrett said, we have $8,500 in the tournament fund. More importantly, as you can see, we've got a list here, but I'll just give you a brief summary. Right now, a lot of the representatives obviously are not able to visit the golf courses. Just ask that when they do, please be respectful, give them your time, try to support them. We have Shane Volker from FootJoy. We have Bill Latch and Grant Boyd from Titleist. We have Mr. Jay Clancy from Puka Headwear and US Kids Golf. I know a lot of the kids have been out of golf or out of school, so it's been, we're seeing here at the driving range a lot of young people and a lot of families because they just got nothing else to do. They can't go eat, they can't go bowling, they can't go to the movies. So it's actually been a great opportunity to see a lot of new golfers potentially getting into golf. Back to sponsors. Anyway, so what we're doing here in our pro shop, I know the clubs are probably going to be a lot different too, is that we are only allowing one person into our pro shop at a time, and a mask is absolutely mandatory. Doors locked, and only one person comes in at a time. We don't sell a lot of merchandise except for maybe gloves. Yeah, they have to choose a glove, but they cannot try gloves on. So once you look at their hand size and they pick one, it's theirs. So anyway, moving forward with sponsors, our associate sponsorship program has been actually a great start. It's our first year. We've asked our members if they'd like to actually indirectly or individually support the chapter, which they're doing. Right now, we've got Golf Development Complex. We have Paul Holtby Golf, Rick Garbowski, Paya, Rick Garbowski, Stockdale, Garrett Goodrich, Don Parsons Golf from Don Parsons, Justin Height, Spanish Hills. We had Tom Kiefer and Josh Young at Las Posas. And just prior to closing down, Mr. Tom Swedinsky and the Bunker joined us also. So total of 9,300 raised so far this year, and that is currently where we're at. I know we don't have a lot of tournaments for the rest of the year with everything going on, so hopefully we'll have a lot of carryover for next year as well. We'll keep our program that's been situated, amount of dollars per tournament, per player. The larger the participation, the larger the purse. I am so happy to be able to, you guys be able to see me. Oh, I guess I don't need my mask on. See, sudden, I've been working since 4. Sorry. All right. Anyway, I'm out. Clock me out.
Yeah,
Please.
hate to interrupt, but we got another question that came in from Ryan Kennedy, saying that will we be able to reboot any of our pro events that were canceled?
Yeah, that's been considered. There's a lot of issues on the table. When I attended the section tournament meeting, there were even some discussions of, because we've missed so many section events, that they might even try to take over some of our chapter Mondays and make them section events instead. So it's still a very fluid situation. To be honest with you, I do not, Ryan, foresee us being able to add any chapter events due to the fact that I think the section events are taking a priority as we move into, the rest of the year.
Okay, great. So, no other questions at this time.
And I'm sure that also means that we'll have to look at modifying our Player of the Year points and coming up with a new plan for that if we only have 3 or 4 events the rest of the year based on availability. The board will get together and talk about what strategies might have for the Player of the Year points moving forward for our chapter. Thank you so much, Rick and Paul. That was fantastic. Really appreciate you contributing to that, and to be able to bring in nearly $9,300, close to $10,000 that team has gone out and requested and beat down doors to get money for our section is amazing. And since we haven't been able to honor our sponsors in the way that we would have had liked with our tournaments and being able to give them an exposure, we're actually going to create a new initiative, and Justin's going to help us with that by highlighting and having a sponsor highlight every couple of weeks. So all of those individuals who have contributed to our chapter, you'll be seeing an email come out each couple of weeks highlighting their business, highlighting what they do, what benefits they can provide PGA members, and how you can work hand in hand with them to support those businesses. So thank you so much for that. We're going to play just a short video that came out from Section, and if you haven't watched it yet, it came out just a few days ago, so this should be pretty new. This goes over some of those guidelines that Rick talked about in our new tournament play. that we'll be adapting to the Northern chapter. Obviously, county by county is a little bit different. So tournament by tournament, as the guidelines relax or modify, we'll be integrating that into our tournament play. But as you prepare for some of the tournaments starting at the end of June, here is some helpful information that you need to know as you step on property with these tournaments. Great. I thought that was an awesome video put out by the section. And of course, what a better place to film that than at Monarch Beach and make us jealous by that beautiful beach right behind there. All right, so we're going to thank you for the completion of that report, Rick and Paul. We're going to head into our section report from Garrett Goodrich as our filling in for Rodney Scott. So we'll go through that.
Thanks, Allison. Brand new to me, and it's an honor to represent the chapter at the section level. And fortunately, we're also honored to have some section leaders here that can fulfill the items that I miss. A couple notes about what Dan was talking about with teaching and having mirrors, and just a best practice option for everyone out there that is a coach. There's a smartphone app called Mirror Vision, and if you haven't used it before, it's great. Basically, you could have a iPhone down the line for the student, and then you could have an iPad on the ground, and the student could be looking down at the golf ball they're hitting and then see the video from the down the line iPhone that's behind them. So really good visual. Can be both of their own aids, an iPhone and an iPad, and it can help them with positionings without you having to touch player. So good option, and another option on mirrors for teaching and coaching. Another one too, just a random note, I feel like in the last 2 months I've had more grip changes on students than I've ever had to do in my life, and you don't realize how easy it is to change a player's grips with hands on, but with hands off it's close to impossible. I swear it takes me 10 minutes every time. Okay, diving into the little information I have on a section update. There's a brand new SCPGA juniortour.com website for their tour. It is a separate site. I looked at it, it looks great. That's a fantastic additional junior tour option here in Southern California. They have 388 players on their JDT tour. They're currently at 918 on their players tour, and then on their elite tour, their Toyota Tour Cup, they have 264 players that are currently on that. Something they adopted in 2020, which I think is imperative for tournament golf at the junior level, is a new pace of play initiative. They basically, every group has to finish within 15 minutes of the group that finished ahead of them. And if they fail to do so, there's 2 strokes penalty per individual in that group. And I think it's a pretty simple policy. And I think it's imperative, as I said, in our game today. The golf takes way too long, especially at that level, and we shouldn't be educating them to take that long when they first begin tournament play. Annual dues, you probably saw the notice. I'm sure everyone has paid theirs already, but if you haven't, they're giving you more time than ever. So you have a couple different options, but you have between now and October 31st of this year to pay those dues. And then before I pass it back to Allison, again, I'm sure the section leaders that are here can fulfill what I missed. And I want to just say to everyone, keep up the good work. This is challenging times, tough times to say the least, and it's actually an interestingly great time for our game. There's very few things that you can do right now, and it's motivating and exciting to see juniors and families and new people playing the game, because to be honest, it's an option. So let's capitalize on that. Let's continue to do the things that we're doing to make it a safe game, and grow it over time. So that's all I have as the chapter report for this time around.
Thanks, Garrett, and we appreciate you stepping in for that position for us. Okay, so we're going to have some section leadership join us for the remainder of our meeting, and also want to give a shout out to Todd Kiefer, our section honorary president, who is also joining us on the virtual meeting today. So Todd, thank you for being here, and a big warm welcome into our Northern chapter, and hopefully we can call on you to potentially contribute and help us out. So thank you for being here. First, we're going to have the board turn off their cameras to give our leadership an opportunity to address our membership. And Mr. Latendre, our president, if you'd like to start first.
Well, thank you, Allison. And as my camera comes up, first I'll apologize. I didn't realize everybody was going to get dressed up for the call today, since I came to the club to not bother Mignon at the home office while I was online. So I apologize. I'm in golf attire, and I want you to know I'm wearing my section shirt though. So hopefully I get a little bit of credit for that. But Allison and the board at Northern, Chapter, thanks so much for allowing me to be here just for a little bit of time to say hello and welcome Garrett to the section board of directors as your chapter representative. It's be nice to have you in the boardroom when we have a boardroom, and but it's nice of you to join us, and so thank you very much for that. I thought it was a great idea. You guys shared the best practices on your meeting this morning. I thought that was really great, and if there's anything I can ever offer any of you to share what we're doing here at Dove Canyon or anywhere around the community, please don't hesitate to reach out. As was mentioned, there's a lot of redundancy, of course, but at the same time, I think every now and again you catch a little piece of something different, and I think it's good information for all of us to have in being safe. We will get back to normal at some point, and hopefully it's not too long, but please remember that all eyes are on golf right now, and we want to make sure that as one of the first sports, or as the first sport that was able to come back, and I'm careful how I say sport because they're deeming us as a recreational activity, which is part of the reason we got to come back, so remember that terminology. But the fact that we can come back, there are a lot of eyes on us, so please make sure that you're following all those guidelines and taking extra precautions where necessary. Everybody has a different comfort level with this, whether it be on one end of the spectrum where they really don't think it's a big deal, all the way to the other end of the spectrum where you'd think it was the end of the world. So everywhere in between, people have their own feelings about this. So please be mindful of that and be respectful. And it's better for our game and our sport to err on the side of caution than it is to take things in stride or be a little light on the subject. That being said, your section staff has really been diligent, and I commend Tom and Nikki and Jeff and the whole team at the section office for all of their efforts and what they've been doing to keep us informed, keep us abreast as to what's going on, the weekly and at one time twice weekly California and Nevada chat has been great. There's a lot of information, and we've had a lot of people involved in that, so hopefully you've had an opportunity to listen to those to get information and see what's going on. From a section standpoint, just a couple little notes I made, and I'll let Tom, Jeff, and Nikki fill in the gaps because they are really more entrenched in everything that has to do with COVID and what's going on with the section business and tournaments and those type of things. But I want you to know that we're in the process here. Our board meeting is next week, as you know, as well as our general membership summer meeting next Monday. So hopefully you'll join us in this format, as a matter of fact, to do so. But we will be announcing who our next section secretary will be. That person will shadow for 6 months and then be seated at the annual meeting. That is hopefully going to happen here at Dove Canyon. It may be a virtual meeting at this point. We'll have to see what happens. As well, on our board of directors meeting, we'll be interviewing candidates to seat our next District 11 director. That person will have a 1-year shadowing term and then a 3-year term on the national board of directors. So very excited to be part of that process again. I mentioned our summer meeting, and so hopefully you'll all join us June 8th in this format again for our summer section meeting. And if there's no questions for me, I'm happy to turn it over to Tom, Nikki, and Jeff for an update and fill in any gaps of what's going on with the section. But I'm always here. I'm available at Dove. If you need something, you've got my cell phone number or my email address. Please feel free to reach out if there's anything I can do. And thanks again to the Northern Chapter for letting me be part of your meeting this morning.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Allison. Thanks, everybody. It's really nice to be here this morning with you all and talk a little bit about with you about what's going on in the section. Tony, appreciate your update as always. Jeff and Nikki will join here as well, and we won't take too long. And but hopefully the information that we provide, whether it be dealing with our events, as you saw Max's video or the video with Max. Appreciate Max and Bryce putting that together. And before we get started, I'll just say that just like everything else that we're dealing with currently, we're in a fluid state, and everything that you see or hear, for the most part, could change in a day. And that's what we're facing as we go through our section operations and work within the best practices as far as safety, and health and being responsible to making sure and ensuring that our members, our families, and our staff, of course, is safe as well. Thanks for your information on your best practices. I thought that was really good. I think that I believe that as we all work together and work on these practices, it's only going to be better for everyone. So much appreciated in that regard. These have been some trying times, as you all know, for business. Business in every county, the 10 counties in Southern California, is open. There's changes, it seems, every week, such as golf cars in Ventura or golf instruction in San Diego. I know that LA County, LA City are continually looking at their guidelines, as is the rest of the counties in Southern California, in regards to what we do to get open, to be open and protect our customers and staff. So I think that's something that we would urge you to make sure that you're following all the information that's out there. You've obviously been working hard on guidelines and continue to focus on those guidelines. For example, the consolidation and the collaboration between with the golf industry leaders to develop the Back to Golf guidelines that you've all heard about. I would pay particular attention to those guidelines as those are released. They're almost fully released today, now with what's called key event considerations, which deal with responsibilities when and if we're able to provide full events again, whether it's 50 or above. No definite, especially county by county, no definite lead in regards to when all of that will happen, but and make sure and ensure that you continue to check with your local agency, whether it's a city, whether it's a county, to ensure that you're doing and working within the proper procedures. Within the Back to Golf, there are some retail guidelines, there are some food and beverage guidelines. In addition to that, California, the California Health Department, as well as OSHA, has published both some retail and food and beverage guidelines that are posted, of course, on relative sites, websites, but they're also posted on SCPGA.com. We've done, I believe, a very nice job in providing information, whether it be for guidelines such as this, Back to Golf, resources that are available to you as far as sanitizing agents and providing personal protective equipment, whatever that might be. We have that listed on scpga.com. So please visit and scpga.com, and whatever we can do to provide for you, that's our main goal. Responsibility and optics has been mentioned a couple of times this morning. I'd like to give you an example because golf, as Tony mentioned, being reintroduced as an outdoor activity, and that's the way the state government put it out there and developed the guidelines. And we have to be cautious and remember that we are an outdoor activity that can be taken away just about any time. Whether it be a resurgence of the virus, whether it be the general public not following the guidelines that are out there, or we in the golf business and golf industry not following the guidelines as well. So people, and we started out, and you might be aware of this, back in early April with a couple of very, very negative articles in regards to golf, pointing out that we're the elite sport and we can do what we want to do and weren't following health guidelines that were put in a couple of major newspapers, one in Orange County and one in the Inland Empire. That, fortunately, because we are doing a good job, an excellent job of staying in touch with our agencies and following the guidelines, those headlines were soon kind of pushed aside, if you will. But I was up in Big Bear this weekend, and this reminded me, the Big Bear little newspaper that they have on the front page, and this sort of startled me, but the economy around, as you know, has been well affected by this virus. And the headline was, "Golf opens in Big Bear Valley, some distance, others not." As you might guess, that's not a very good headline. It's pointing out that some people playing golf, and there was a picture of 3 players on a putting green at the Big Bear Valley Golf Course, and they were definitely not social distancing. They were standing next to each other while two of the players were standing next to each other while one of the other players was holding a putt, and thus the headline. And those are the kinds of optics, those are the kinds of perceptions that we really can't afford. And so it's up to us as PGA members, PGA professionals, and operating golf facilities and golf courses that we're very, very aware of that. And it's been mentioned a couple times here this morning that we're very aware of that, and we're doing our best. And I love the idea of the safety ambassador. What a great idea for naming someone out on the golf course that's helping us maintain those guidelines, which are so important. So thank you for doing that. But I wanted to point out the optics that creates and the challenges that could create down the road. Just like golf instruction in San Diego County was one of the last things to come on in their guidelines, because the perception was that it was very difficult to maintain social distancing and the sanitary guidelines that are needed. Well, we all know that golf instruction is probably one of the easiest means to maintain maintain social distancing and all the guidelines needed. And it took some convincing, but with the help of some others in San Diego County, that was changed. And it's the same thing with golf cars, operating golf cars to the fullest extent regarding sanitizing and cleanliness and how critically important that is. So I again remind you of the optics, and let's keep working diligently to provide the best as we move forward. Allison mentioned the Golf Industry Relief Program. One thing that you need to know, and Allison said, be patient. The application does not take very long. Sometimes E4E gets a little bit jammed, as it did in the first phase, but that has improved dramatically. One thing to note, that if you didn't receive funding in the first wave and you did apply, that your application is still in the queue, just so you know that. A couple of other things before turning it over to Nikki. Prior to COVID-19, we were working diligently and very, very hard, and many of you are aware of this, regarding Assembly Bill 5, which had to do with independent contractors and losing status for independent contractors. We were making very good progress with the author of that bill, Lorena Gonzalez from San Diego. We still are, just so you know. There have been a couple of amendments to that bill that have put us in a little better favor within those guidelines as well. So we continue through California Alliance for Golf, and of course our good friend from the SCPGA, Craig Kessler, and our lobbyist up in Sacramento, Tony Rice, to monitor and work with the legislators to ensure that we have covered every base when it comes to protecting our independent contractor status. There's another bill that's come out that's a little more specific. And if you look at these two bills, you'll see, and this one's AB 1850. But the key thing you need to remember, and those of you who fall into the independent category, contractor category, we are well positioned. We've continued contact, even though the Capitol building itself has been closed and our lobbyists can't get in the halls. They've maintained communication just like we're maintaining communication today. So we keep monitoring that, we keep working on that, and there will be some resolution, although we hoped it would be before June of this year. It looks obviously like it's going to be later in the year. Very briefly, our member events, and that's been mentioned, the June 22nd Pro Scramble at Monarch, and where Max put that video together with Bryce, is full. It filled very quickly. It's a restricted field of 88 players, and should be a good event. We look forward to seeing those of you who are playing out there on Monday. June 29th, the rescheduled senior junior at Valencia. And then our match play actually starts today with individually scheduled matches. So those of you who are participating in those three events, thank you very much. And recommend that you continue to check the schedule. Just as was mentioned earlier with Rick and Paul, there's a lot of changes. The schedules are fluid. We've stayed away or tried to stay away from utilizing and using the chapter Mondays and trying to respecting the chapter schedules as well. It was mentioned too that the Las Vegas show is canceled. There'll be education online. We don't know what the future of that show holds, but we'll certainly find out. Just an opinion that could be the demise of that show. Who knows? Might be tough to recover. As was mentioned too, and Nikki will cover this in a few minutes, our summer meeting next week that was originally scheduled for Tamarisk, now online. You all, and Allison referred to the online meetings and activities that we're doing. One of the big, and Tony mentioned it, one of the big programs that's been really successful is our California and Nevada PGA chats that we were doing twice weekly. Now we do once a week. We're kind of on a week-by-week schedule. Our numbers continue to exceed 100. We had nearly 140 the other day, this past Friday. So we're still drawing a number of PGA professionals and others who are interested in the information that's provided. So at this point, we'll review every week and we'll keep going with the valuable updates as long as they're needed. So we appreciate your interest in those activities. We appreciate your interest in doing the right thing and aware of the optics, aware of the perception that's out there. So thank you for that. Thanks for the time, Allison and your board. And with that, I'd like to call on Nikki Gatch.
Thank you, Tom, and thanks, Allison and the board for having us today. I'll keep this brief as a lot of the updates have already been shared by others. I just want to give a shout out to our entire team at the section office. You know, it's been 11 or 12 weeks now of everyone working remotely, and you know, we haven't missed a beat. And really proud of our team for stepping up and adapting to the challenges that we've all faced. And you know, we've been able to provide some great education, as Allison mentioned. If you've missed some of that, everything is archived. Every webinar we do is archived on our YouTube channel. You can find that online, whether that be a Catalyst or one of the Friday chats or a coach chat. We'll continue with those coach chats. Those have proven to be something very beneficial for our instructors and coaches. We'll have one this Wednesday. Billy McKinney will headline that. And then after that, we'll go to a bi-weekly schedule for the coach chats. Our staff is beginning what we call our office repopulation, and we're doing that in phases. We have a staff and team of 20, including our junior tour staff, and so we've set up certain phases to where a certain number of people can be in the building at one time. We have had the building and offices completely sanitized in preparation for our return. Everything, you know, safety-wise is in place and ready for everyone to come back. We will still be allowing some remote working opportunities for our staff, again, to keep everyone safe. And again, we've certainly proven that we can still be efficient, even working remotely. We're super excited to get back into the swing of things with our events. As Tom mentioned, you know, our events selling out. We start that same week on June 22nd for our junior tour, kicking it off with the Toyota Tour Cup. Thanks to Todd and Josh from Las Posas for stepping up and hosting us that week. That will be great. Our Players Tour will start a little bit later that week. Excuse me. And then our JDT will start a couple weeks following that. Allison mentioned becoming certified on PGA.coach. I just want to reiterate how important that is and what a great opportunity it is, especially with the new coach profiles on PGA.com. Later in the summer, that will be started to be excuse me, promoted to the public with a huge push in August during the PGA Championship telecast. So really a great opportunity for you that are instructors and coaches to create that profile. It's really well done how they set it up. And again, it's just another opportunity to promote yourself and grow your business. It's been mentioned a couple times on the summer meeting, so I'll say it one more time. If you haven't already registered, that's next Monday on the 8th at 1 o'clock. Please register online. It will be done in the same format. So we look forward to seeing all of you then, and please don't hesitate to reach out to me or anyone on our team. We're here ready to help and ready to serve you. So thanks so much for the time, and at this time I'll pass it over to Jeff.
Thanks, Bryce. I think I was being muted on purpose. Thank you, Nikki, very much, and hi to all of you. And initially, allow me to say congratulations on an outstanding general meeting and what wonderful work your board of directors is doing, Dr. Kurt. The care you're taking and the innovation is really inspiring, and I, for one, appreciate it a great deal. And would also like to shout out to Colby. I don't know if he's on the line, but happy birthday, Colby. A good day for you, I trust. I'm going to share just a few quick stats with you about the section. Currently, our membership is 1,335 PGA members. We have 280 associates, and that's a trend that continues to decline year over year. We're down 4% this year, and as Randy and I talked about the foreign suspension, I think it's really important that we provide those resources and tools to keep these associates interested and engaged. And to that extent, we'll be starting the Launchpad program again later this fall, which allows level 1 associates to complete their work and to do so in a collaborative environment. And it's been a real successful program. As Randy mentioned, the fact that we're all here, Tom, Nikki, and I, and certainly Randy, to help any of the associates in the Northern Chapter to get through these levels. On a good note, the levels for all of the associates, whether it's 1, 2, or 3, have been extended for 1 year. So that's giving us a little additional time to get this done. And again, looking forward to helping in any way that we might. Allison and Nikki had mentioned coaches. We have 152 now in the section, which is a noted increase. And Dan had mentioned our junior league captains up to 161 now, which is again a noted increase. And there's a great deal of activity and a great deal of enthusiasm, and gosh, it's just encouraging to see. On a special awards note, we've extended that deadline for the section to June the 12th. We'll make an announcement at the meeting on Monday, June 8th about the program. We've, like many chapters, the section has experienced fewer nominations than we'd like and that we expect. And we believe a lot of that has to do with what's been taking place these last 90 days, facilities and with PGA members. So we're extending the deadline to June 12th, and I would encourage all of you to take a moment and make note of someone that's done something special or continues to. Always here to answer any questions and to help any way. And again, Garrett had mentioned that the dues have been extended to October 31, which is a very noble move on behalf of the PGA of America, and we all applaud that for those that are having a tough time right now. And Garrett, I hope on a personal note, you saw my email regarding the use of funds on some of those activities that we had been discussing. And again, always here for whatever I could possibly do. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Jeff, very much. And we appreciate the time. the opportunity to be with you this morning. And again, just like to reiterate, not to be trying to push anything, but as we're out there and all of us working on our safety and health for everybody, let's be responsible. There's many guidelines out there that we have the opportunity to use, whether working with our golf students, coaching with our students, working with our customers, working with our families. Let's be protective, and so we can get through this and continue with the golf business that seems to be heading in the right direction. So Allison, thank you. To your board, thank you. To your membership, thank you for including us. We appreciate the time and we appreciate the opportunity to be with you. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. It's an honor having you all on this first virtual call. So much appreciated, and some great information coming from section. 2 dates that I just want to reiterate that were important for you to write down is, again, the special awards for the section have been extended to June 12th. So you have a little bit more time. And then reminder for our chapter special awards, that deadline is July 6th. So you have a little over a month. And what's neat about this cycle with those special awards coming out is you don't have to fill out the old-fashioned paper and pencil and scan it and email it back in. Everything is now online. So our chapter is online for those special award nominations, and the section is too. So it actually makes nominating pretty fun to recognize some of your colleagues that are doing some great stuff in the section and the chapter, because it's really easy to do. So I invite you to think about at least 1 or 2 people that you can nominate for that. Well, that brings us into the conclusion of our meeting today. Normally we would have a call for old business and new business. If you have any questions, please put them into the chat. We'll just hang out for another minute or so if those come in. But really appreciate all of you for logging in today and being a part of this general meeting. And I hate to use the term new normal, because I don't think that there really is ever such a normal, as we're continually evolving and facing new challenges and adapting and flexing with how things are going. But as our new and evolving circumstances are facing us, this is kind of a neat way for our entire chapter, which sometimes can take 2 to 3 hours to get from one boundary to the other boundary, if not 4 hours, we're talking LA traffic here, for us to be all connected from the comfort of our home in this virtual meeting. And so thank you so much for being here. Looks like I don't have any questions that are popping in. So I wish you all well in your businesses, and we hope to see you in July for our first chapter event, and hope to see many of you in a couple of weeks at the first section event. Thank you again. Thanks to the wonderful board, the section leadership, President Latendre for being here, and Honorary President Mr. Kiefer. Thanks so much, and we'll sign off and hope to see you soon. Be well.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you, Allison. Great work.